Good morning. My name is John Lord, and I am your instructor for Accounting 58, your auditing class. This is a welcome video that I'm posting to Canvas to give you an idea as to how the course is going to be organized, when our tests are going to be, how we're going to administer them, that sort of thing. I would like to start with a brief introduction of myself. As I mentioned, my name is John Lord. I've been teaching at De Anza. I think I'm starting on my third year here teaching this class, and I also teach Accounting 1A and Accounting 1B here. I've been teaching for about 30 years. Most of my teaching has been teaching the CPA exam. CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant. And in order to get your license in the 50 states, you need to pass a four-part exam. One of the parts of the exam is the auditing part of the exam, and this class aligns most closely with that part of the exam. There's also financial accounting and reporting. There's also a section called regulation. And then the fourth section depends on the discipline chosen by the candidate. You can choose information systems and controls if you wanted, or you could choose business accounting and reporting. And then the third option would be to pick a tax compliance and regulation piece of the exam. And that last part of those three the candidate chooses. I've been teaching that for, as I mentioned, 30 years. I teach that at Golden Gate University. And I have also taught it for Becker Professional Education, which is a CPA prep course. And I did that for many years while also working for the federal government. I worked for an agency called the Government Accountability Office. GAO is the auditing investigative arm of Congress. And I did that for, as I mentioned, 26 years before retiring to pursue teaching full time. I've taught at San Francisco State, San Jose State, UC Berkeley. Retired from the state. I'm now going on about 5 years ago, and continue to teach obviously at De Anza, Golden Gate, and I also teach at Stanford, where I teach introduction to managerial and financial accounting in the School of Management, Science, and Engineering, and in the School of Medicine. So that's a little bit about my background. The work with the GAO did get me my CPA some years back. So that's my background. Okay. Telephone number and email are both good ways to reach me. Also, my office hour. And you can see the Zoom link for that. And you're welcome to come at that time. Or if you need to set an appointment for a time that's different from you, you can text me at that number or email me at that email. And we can set up a time where we can meet either via Zoom. I live in Hayward, so I can come down to De Anza. If you need a face-to-face meeting, we would just obviously need to arrange that in advance. I'm not on campus this quarter. You can see, on a regular basis, but you can, set an appointment if you need to meet face to face, and I can come down and we can sit down somewhere there on campus and meet face to face if need be. You can see the textbook information. The textbook is optional. Okay. You should follow this link to access the course as I have set it up in McGraw-Hill Connect if you choose to get the textbook. What I'm advising students is you go ahead, if you don't already have a McGraw-Hill Connect account, and follow this link and take advantage of the 2-week trial period that they offer. And then see, if you think that the book is going to be helpful for you for this class, and then go ahead and acquire the book by giving them your credit card information, et cetera. It is not absolutely necessary that you do this. I think it could be helpful, but I do have many students who progress well through the course and don't actually purchase the textbook, and that's okay if you don't want to. Okay. You can see it there, and I'm going to show you what that'll look like. In fact, why don't I just show you now what that'll look like once you have registered Okay. You will, okay. I always manage to close that. By the time I start my video, I have it all set up before, and by the time I start the video, I've somehow managed to close it, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and sign in. Okay, and you can see that I have, and I'll put it in student view so it'll look like it will look to you. And you can see the homework assignments that are here. Again, I'm calling these out as homework. They are optional, but they are set up by chapter. So one way to see if you indeed do want to acquire the book would be, and the process is to look at the lectures. I have lectures posted, and I'll show you where you can find those in Canvas in a second. Watch the lectures. What I advise you to do is get the slides that are posted on Canvas. I have them posted there. Go through the slides with the lecture, make any notations and whatnot, either on your tablet or if you want to print them out and do hard copy, you can, however you do that. And then look at the homework that you see here to reinforce the material, and then wash, rinse, repeat. Do the same thing again for the next chapter. And I recommend, and sometimes in online class, students like to, for some reason, go through every single thing. I'm not going to open the midterm until the date that it is supposed to be open. So there's really no advantage to trying to rush through everything because it'll be a hurry up and wait. So I suggest week to week, you set a time when you're going to go through, look at the lecture, get the slides, look at the lecture, come in, maybe look at these homework questions. For 2 weeks, you'll be able to do that for free. And then after that, you'd have to pay if for the book if you decide to do that. You might be saying, well, how am I supposed to practice the material in the class if you don't, provide, if I don't buy the textbook? Embedded in the lectures are example questions and whatnot that you can learn from those in preparation for the exams that we will have later on down the road. So let me go back to the syllabus. Okay, that's how the McGraw-Hill will work. Auditing is different than accounting. So maybe you've taken a few accounting classes, you haven't taken an auditing class before. In accounting classes, we're usually sitting in the position of the preparer of the financial statements, the entity, the company that prepares the statements following generally accepted accounting principles. Remember the Financial Accounting Standards Board, FASB, or other accounting standard setters for various entities, but FASB is the main one we talk about a lot. Okay. And so what happens? You have the FASB and they set the standards, and the entities prepare the financial statements in accordance with the standards. If they're a public company, they also may have to comply with certain Security Exchange Commission requirements, the federal agency that oversees accounting for entities that trade their stocks in the United States. And then an auditor will come in, and an auditor will come in and will review, will audit. I shouldn't say review because review is a very specific type of engagement. An auditor will come in and audit the financial statements and render an opinion saying whether or not they believe that the entity followed the generally accepted accounting principles when they prepared those financial statements. And so, as you might imagine, that's a pretty important function. You have to be licensed by the state to perform that function. And then you have to follow standards when you conduct that audit as a CPA. That's what we're studying in this class. We're studying the standards that are in place for audits of, if it's a non-public entity, we'll follow standards promulgated by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. If it's a public company, we'll follow standards rendered by the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, easy for me to see, for me to say. That was a creation of Sarbanes-Oxley, and we would have to follow certain requirements of the PCAOB standards. don't worry, it's not like the two standards are a completely different set of standards. They are very, very similar. So sometimes while you're studying one, you're studying the other, and we will point out when there are differences between the two as we go through the various material. So you can see the student learning outcomes, the course objectives in line with what I just outlined as a broad view of the class. Communication plan. Again, I've provided my phone number and my email. Okay. But basically, ways to connect with me. The office hour, obviously. Come to the office hour. Sometimes it helps just to sit down and talk with me during the office hour and to sort of kick around some of the different terms that we're using. Sometimes when we look at them in the textbook or we look at them in the context of the discussion, it might sound like well, in some ways it is going to be a new language for you. So the more you use that language, I think the more you're going to become comfortable with that and be in good progress as you develop your career. If you have questions about the CPA exam, I don't think that you'll run into somebody that has dealt more with helping people pass the CPA exam. So I'm more than happy to help you to understand the requirements and whatnot. Okay. So I will post announcements from time to time in the class about different opportunities. Often some of the CPA firms will hold an office visit or maybe offer an opportunity to meet with some of their staff, et cetera. And so as I learn of those opportunities, I will post up announcements about that. So you should probably log into the class weekly to take a look to see if there are any announcements about any upcoming opportunities. Okay. From time to time, as important dates come due for exams and whatnot, even though they're listed on the syllabus, I will likely put up an announcement and send out an email reminding you that the midterm is coming. Although, having said that, it is your responsibility to know when the midterms are and take them accordingly. And I'm going to outline that here in a little bit. Okay. And so, as I said, monitor it daily. Okay. Or at least once a week, I should probably say, get in and see if I put anything up because sometimes I'll learn of something and it's going to be coming up pretty quickly and you may want to go and then you wait for a while to log in. All of a sudden you say, oh darn, I missed that opportunity to go to a particular office visit for a firm or something like that. Okay. Grading policy. Most of our grades come from the three exams. We'll have three exams, two midterms and a final. The final is not comprehensive, so it's really sort of like three midterms. Each one of them will be 100 points for a total of 300. That's constituting 75% of the grade. The midterms consist of 20 multiple choice questions and then one objective format question. So each multiple choice question is worth 4 points. That gives you a total of 80. And then one objective format question where you're going to have to do some matching, that sort of thing. And that will constitute 20 points, 4 or 5 points for each one of the elements. Sometimes I have 5 elements, sometimes I have four, and you can't get partial credit on that objective question. So that'll be the exams. We will also have a guest speaker write up, and I'm going to show you where to access that information that will be worth 100 points for a total of 400. Okay. Nothing shocking here. You can see the way the grades break out depending on how you perform. You'll get these various grades. Most of my students live up in here. The only time that I see students really kind of dropping down is because they don't pay attention to the exam dates and they miss the exam. If there's one thing that I'm sort of a stickler on, if you will, is you do need to take the exams on the dates that they are due. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that here in a couple minutes, but make sure you take the exams when they're due. There's no flexibility around that. I give you plenty of time to take the exams. It's a 3-hour exam to work the 20 multiple choice questions in the one objective format. You can use any of the material from this class. You can use your notes from the class. You can use the slides from the class. You can use any of the material from McGraw-Hill if you purchase that, etc. Okay, it's all open book, open note. Schedule a time for you to take the exam and take the exam, and you'll be in good shape. And I don't see anyone falling down unless you start missing the exams. Okay, so that's that point there. There's no makeups. You have to take the exam at the time that it is scheduled. Okay. Now, I'm not going to read through the plagiarism and cheating points. Okay. I'm going to let you look at that, and you could also see where you can get some college resources if you need those, etc., with these hyperlinks. Okay, so you can see week to week, we'll cover the chapters. Now, I've highlighted in red here, I've fonted in red, the exam dates. Okay, so you can see um, our first exam will be the week of February 3rd, which will be our fifth week in class. You've gone through chapter by chapter, got yourself ready, and then you take the exams. And the first one will cover chapters 1 through 6. Now, just let me show you in Canvas where those exams are. So you come over here and you go to quiz. And you can see the midterms, okay? And that first midterm won't be available until I put February 3rd here, which is the week for that first exam. That's the Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Okay, make sure the syllabus is also saying, yeah, February 3rd. Okay, good. I thought I had seen a different date there. That's correct, February 3rd. Okay, and you'll come over, okay, click on quizzes, and then you'll click on the exam. Okay, now this exam is locked at this time. It won't open until February 3rd. Okay, now let's take a look at how we're going to do this. I want to leave student view for that. Okay, and let's just look at what I'm saying here about the exam. Okay, so you will have 3 hours to work the exam. 3 hours begin counting down as soon as you open the exam. The exam will begin February 3rd, 2025 at 12 a.m. It will remain open until 11:59. Okay, I don't know that I need two ons there. Okay, so I can go ahead and fix that. Okay, real-time live editing of the material here. Okay, I don't need two ons. Okay, so it will at 11:59. Okay, and you'll have 3 hours. The exam will begin to count down as soon as you open it. The exam will be available beginning February 3rd, 2025 at 12 a.m. It will remain open until 11:59 on February 9th. Okay, now February 9th, 2025, that is a Sunday. It'll close Sunday night. So the exam is open for essentially a full week. Okay, now what you do is you pick a 3 hour window during that week when you will take the exam. Okay, and that's when you take it. So that allows for, it's not like you have to take it at an exact certain time. That allows some flexibility, and that's why I'm not real generous with makeups and that, because you have a full week to pick the 3 hour window as to when you take the exam. Now at 11:59 p.m. on the 9th, that first midterm closes at that time. If you were to start it at say 11, then you'd only have an hour to work it. So don't do that. Give yourself the full 3 hours. I don't know that it'll take you the full 3 hours. You don't have to sit in there for 3 hours in the exam, working it for 3 hours. Once you're done, you submit it. If it takes you an hour to work it, fine. If it takes you 2 hours, fine. But I don't recommend that you get, kind of cocky and say, well, I'm just going to take it at 11 o'clock because it's going to only take me 10 minutes to work it or something. Give yourself ample time. Set that time aside so you can take the exam and do a good job on it. Ken, as I mentioned, you can only use material from this class, and you do not share your answers with anyone else in the class. It's not a group project. Okay, so that will be the midterms. That's how they'll work. Okay, so as I mentioned, you'll click into quizzes. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put it back into student view because that's how you'll be seeing it. Okay. You won't have this pink, but you will see it like this. And right now, if you click on it, you can't see any of that, but you will see that beginning 12 a.m. on February 3rd. Okay, so that's the way the exams work. They're not terribly difficult. As I mentioned, 20 multiple choice questions and one objective format question. I've been showing you the syllabus. That's where the syllabus is. Okay. I do, for that first midterm, have a practice midterm that you can look at. After that, the practice midterms tend to be embedded in the lectures. Okay. So you can see we have the slides, okay, for the class and for the chapter, and then we have the lecture. When you click on the lecture, that will take you out to YouTube, and in YouTube, you can see the lectures there and the discussion, etc. You don't have to watch the entire lecture because sometimes those lectures go on for a couple of hours from previous terms. You know, you might not want to sit there. I can understand that and go 2 hours watching the lecture. So, stop it when you get tired or you have something else you need to work on. Note the time that you stopped it and then come back and resume, and you can watch that in chunks. Okay. And there you go, chapter by chapter. And you can see that I have for each chapter slides, and then I have the lectures. Um, Sometimes it gets a little confusing, guys, in that, for example, I think I stopped right on a good point right here. For example, chapter 9, you watch that chapter 9 lecture, and then in the same recording, I started chapter 10. Okay, well, you might stop it at the end of chapter 9 for your chapter 9 work that you're doing, and then come back at 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 37 seconds. And when you're ready for chapter 10, here's the slides. You'll look at chapter 10 starting there, and then chapter 10 will be completed in a different in that particular lecture up there. You can see it up there, chapter 10, and you'll just proceed. Oh, and then chapter 10 part 1, and then chapter 10 gets completed down here under the chapter 11 module. So sometimes you'll have to kind of go between, the modules here to finish watching whatever you want to for chapter 10, etc. Okay. And that happens a few times because I, start the class and I get so far through chapter 9, I can't finish chapter 10. I finish chapter 10 in the next lecture, right? And then I started chapter 11, etc. So that's how that will work sometimes. So watch that. That gets a little confusing, but I think you can figure that out okay. Let's take a look back at the syllabus, okay, to make sure we're clear that anytime you see those red dates, red highlighted weeks, that will be our exam week, and it'll work that way every time. It'll open on the Monday at 12 a.m. It'll remain open until 11:59 on the following Saturday, except for the final. The final, even though our finals week actually begins July 24th, March 24th. What I've done is, let's go back to that quiz. I've moved the date up on that. So that will open on March 22nd. March 22nd, here, just looking at my calendar, March 22nd is a Saturday. I'm opening that on a Saturday. And the reason I'm doing that is that the Canvas won't let me put in any assignments or anything after the end of the quarter, which is officially March 28th. So that's March 28th is a Friday. So to make sure you get that full week, I just moved up the opening date. And you can, again, pick a 3-hour window as to when you're going to take the final. Okay, works exactly the same format. In fact, I'm calling it a final. It's more like a glorified midterm because it's not comprehensive. It just covers the chapters that are listed here, those that had been covered after the second midterm. Okay, those are the key things I wanted to cover with you. Again, you are more than welcome to call me, text me, email me about various questions, points of clarity that you need. I am here to help you through the materials. I mentioned most of my students get a nice grade in this class. Just please, please, please make sure you're paying attention to those exam dates and you should be fine. Okay, thank you. I'll look forward to maybe meeting with some of you in coming up days, and good luck this quarter with all your classes.